whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever you might be doing. We wish to welcome you to the Silverlight Show. The Silverlight shines to illuminate that which lies hidden in darkness. For those of you tuning in today, we welcome you in. This is an issue I don't like to get involved in, but it's something that needs to be addressed. The United States deportations, or shall I call them sudden, unexpected deportations. India had a C-17 full of reverse immigrants show up on their doorstep. This is a very dangerous move, and I'll tell you why. The U.S. should know this. An unidentified cargo plane coming in is going to warrant at least an interceptor checking it out. Now, the good news is the military has tons of these cargo planes, both US, Canada, and most of the time they're sitting idle. You don't need a military jet to move most things, and it tends to be cheaper to move them by civilian contractors. A lot of the time, well, we were told we have planes leaving for, Germany, for wherever you could imagine. Germany just sticks it in my head. And usually they're there to take some battery or something just because the pilots need their hours in the air and it's going to get there quicker than any sort of transport. So you could sign up for a seat on that plane and you could sit on a Hercules for, I guess it'd be almost 20 or 30 hours shaking the whole way over there. I never did this, but I was told how to do it because I asked. It would not be nice, let me put it that way. And the only thing that would stop you is if anybody with higher rank came along and they wanted that particular seat. Then you'd be bumped to another seat, or if there were enough of them, you'd be bumped off the aircraft. So these things are flying around a lot of the time with nothing or next to nothing in it. So the idea of using the military resources to move these deportees to Honduras, Mexico, India, and don't forget, India and the United States are not the friendliest of people. The only reason they hang out together is because India and China don't get along. And India has traditionally preferred hanging out with Russia because in the event of a war, Russia's going to be able to intervene a lot quicker than the United States. It's not even a question there. And Russia and China are buddies at the moment, but they've spent almost 80 years not liking each other. They started off with Mao and Stalin. They tried to come together as some sort of big international Soviet, and they had a big fight, and that was the end of it. They even fought border wars in certain areas where they each felt they had more priority. So Russia and China acting friendly with each other is a very careful balancing act. So when you go to India, who's buddies with Russia, and drop off a C-17 worth of refugees without consent, you're gonna get some pushback. It's human cargo is already a sensitive topic in the modern age, and that's basically what you're doing. I acknowledge these people were in the United States illegally. Yes. I acknowledge that people have a right to be treated to a certain way, and that's why I'm sucking my teeth at the C-17 because not very comfortable, and you could probably send them on an airline flight dramatically cheaper. But it gets even more funny. So, if you're India, you have fighters, a defense network, all that sort of thing, and this C-17 pulls up. There's these things called customs, and they want to know what's on that C-17, especially if you intend to land. So at some point there was a conversation between the pilot of the C-17 and air traffic control, um, border security. I don't know what department of the Indian government that goes through, and that's my particular ignorance of their government. Nothing against them. So either the United States said, we're bringing your people back, and we're landing and we don't care. Again, India is kind of friendly, but not really. They might not like that. Although shooting down a United States plane would cause problems. I don't think there'd be missiles fired or a war or a conflict or anything, but there'd be a lot of diplomatic bickering. And then the other possibility is that the United States lied. Oh, we're bringing in cargo for whatever. And then when they get there, they offload the people and say, have a nice day. Again, what's India going to do about it? Well, India can do a lot about it. I can't take a group of people from my street and drop them in Iceland or Germany, even though those countries are friendly with us at the moment. They're going to want to know, why are these people here? What's going on? Because human trafficking is unfortunately still a thing. And while these people were deported, I don't know whether their cases were heard or they were. One of the judges, well, Judge Fleischer down in, I think it's Houston, Texas area, he often tells people, are you a citizen? Because if you're not, about twice a day, they sweep the cells and they just grab people that they know are on the detention list or whatever list they have to track people who are still working on getting their immigration status settled. And if that's the case, some of these people could have very easily been on the list but had a legitimate claim to stay in the country. They were just waiting for their lawyers to submit their documentation. Now, let's assume these are the worst of the worst. There's people like this in every single country. Your drug dealers, your murderers, your sexual abusers, and all the things, the people you don't want. Why did the United States need to send them back so quickly? And the same goes with the Hondurans, the Mexicans. Why is this such a priority? In a country like the United States, which I believe has 150 million people living there, something like that, it might have gone up, sending a C-17, which, depending how it's configured, I think can hold about 100 or 200 people on it. Is that really making a difference? I suppose every little bit helps. But it's okay. It's never okay to do this. Let me rephrase that. It's understandable to send them to Honduras, Mexico, etc., because it's within your sphere of influence. It's somewhere that you can reach out and either bully them into taking these refugees or, make some sort of arrangement behind the scenes. Hey, take these illegals off of us and we'll give you money, we'll give you oil, we'll give you food. I don't know what the trade will be like back and forth between them. But that's not what we're seeing happening. I don't like people coming in illegally. I admit it happens. Chances are, and this is raw odds, there's somewhere in my division, there's someone in my division that is here that shouldn't be here. That's raw odds. Probably a couple, to be honest with you. And that's a job for law enforcement. They're trained to deal with this. They know how to take people to the courts, prove beyond a shadow of a doubt or to a preponderance of evidence, I'm not sure which it is, that they don't belong in this country. And yeah, we had that situation. When was it? It was a fellow from the islands and the Caribbean islands, in case you're not familiar. He had murdered people, stole stuff, everything, and he still kept getting back into the country. Yeah, I understand that's frustrating. But the vast majority of people go quietly. I've seen this a couple times in my life, and I don't understand it. Um, I had one gentleman I worked with. He was a driver. I was his boss, and fantastic. Everything he did was spot on. Everything he he was a little hesitant at first because he didn't have the experience, but he learned so fast. He was easily one of my best truck drivers. When the other shift found out about him, they started fighting me for him. Like, nope, not giving up my one good driver. But just one day he was gone. And it turned out it was something to do with immigration. Now, I didn't have any authority, clearance, or anything to ask what it is, but I was told it was an immigration problem. He was here, he was making money, I couldn't tell you he was doing anything illegal, but I think that was what he was there for, make some money and bring his family over. But they just kicked him out for whatever reason. The second one makes even less sense, and it was only about 10 years ago. This gentleman was here. He owned his own business. He had a couple straight trucks, and they were leased out to us so that we could get our loads gone. Wonderful man, kind, understood the job as well as anybody possibly could. He had his family here. He had 2 daughters in university. One day, immigration came down on him. You have 2 days to get out of the country. What? How can this guy be anything less than a solid candidate for a citizen? Like, he's got a business here. He's investing in jobs and stuff, employing people. His daughter's going to university. Knowing him, I'd say his daughters were a chip off the old block, and they were going on to pretty successful stuff. I don't care if they're studying art history. They could have been a curator at a museum or something. Just looking at how hard he worked and how pleasant he was to deal with, and those are the people we're kicking out. So that's why I'm worried about this sudden policy to get rid of them, no matter the cost. And that's what's going to happen. They're going to spend the military budget on removing these people, and then God forbid anybody decides to shoot a missile or send somebody in the wrong place with an explosive device. And then the military's not going to have money, and then they're going to have emergency funds from Parliament. And, well, what happened to our budget? Well, we spent it sending these people to India and Honduras. Like I said, India doesn't even make sense because it's so far out of alignment with the United States. This is a very strange tactic. Of course, the supporters of the current regime in the United States are going to love this. Look at that, he kicked them right out of the country. I want to see some due process. Human beings have rights. The Constitution, and in Canada's case, the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, both say anyone. It doesn't say citizens have these rights, it's anyone. Whether they're 10-time criminal, whether they're a man struggling to make his way in the world, they're all people. We, the people, is a very powerful thing south of the border. And we, the people, have unfortunately gotten rid of some people that there might be serious audits on one day. Unfortunately, there won't be any justice for these people for at least another 3.5 years. But that's how we're starting off. I shudder to think of what the next play would be. And I also shudder for anybody who's a landed resident, gets caught by police, doesn't have their card with them for whatever reason. People forget their purses, they forget their wallets, and while they're locked up, ICE and Immigration, I don't know what it means. ICE does their walkthrough. Show me your identification. Oh, I don't have it. It's at home. You know how some people are. Well, show it to me and prove it. Well, I can't. It's at home. Well, you don't have the chance to go home. But come over here. Get on this plane. And I can see that situation happening, and it is scary. Because I might forget my wallet one day. And I don't want to go on a plane, at least not to those places. Nothing against them. Maybe Honduras. I've never been to Honduras. And yeah, India is a lovely place. I just hate 20, 30-hour plane rides. That's why I'm saying I don't want to go to those places. If I could just transport over there like Star Trek, heck yeah, I want to see it all. But that's not in our technology limit. Anyway, how am I going to say this? The validity? It's not really the word I want to say. Like the process that this comes over seems very sus, as the kids like to say today. And where is the oversight? I'm not seeing it. Hopefully somebody else with more power than I can take care of it and at least have the opportunity for some sort of trial. With that, on a fairly depressing note, we'll leave you to think about that. We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Silverlight Show. If you did, please like, share, subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. Don't forget to click the bell icon down below so you can be notified for every show that we upload, because I think I'm back in the rhythm where I can do this every day again, and my microphone seems to be working, so hey, let's crank it up. And there's a deal coming where we'll be moving to AM radio. I'm still going to keep the YouTube channel open, but yeah, big things are on the horizon, and now you understand why I went back to doing this. We hope you have a fantastic day, and we'll see everybody tomorrow.